Hi there guys, it's Ebird Online and I'm here with another part of the review for 90 Day Fiance. This is season 7, episode 12, I Do or I Don't Know. And today I'm going to be talking about Jasmine and Blake and Anna and Marsul. Just before we begin, I want to give all my subscribers a big warm Ebird hug. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel and supporting me. And for those of you who are yet to do so, please don't forget to press the red button. And you can also follow me on Twitter at mbird99. And also don't forget to like the video. So first up, we're going to talk about Anna and Marsul. So we first see Anna and she's sitting in her apartment and she tells us she still loves Marsul. And as we remember, Marsul went home last week and Marsul leaving invalidated his visa, but it seems he's had a change of mind. So he's going to the US Embassy in Turkey to find out if he can still use his visa and if he can return to the US to get married to Anna and live happily ever after. And Anna tells us this whole thing is just crazy. It's crazy and it's also extremely hard for us to believe. And Anna, as usual, is waiting for Marsul to call, and finally he calls. He tells us his visa has been reissued and he's booked a ticket to the US for 2 days' time. But wait, the visa runs out in 2 days' time, so that means on the day that he lands, they have to get married pronto. And we go to Turkey and we see Marsul packing, and Marsul explained to his family that it was he that lied to them and not Anna lying to him. He said he lied because he loved Anna so much and he was afraid they wouldn't let him go. Marsul must have forgotten that he's 36 years of age and has freedom of movement. He said there was a really big argument, but finally they said that he could marry Anna, and he thinks it's because his mother felt sorry for him. And we leave Marsul going to the airport in a taxi. Meanwhile, Anna's back in America, sitting in a coffee shop with her 3 boys. And I'm guessing she's going to explain to them exactly what's happening. And the middle son, GINO, asks, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And I constantly ask myself, what am I doing here? When I watch the story of Anna and Marsul. But we continue. And Anna explains the situation to them and tells them the happy news that Marsul's coming back and they're getting married. And she asks GINO, are you happy with things? And he says, yeah, I guess so. But then later to producers, he says he's actually quite happy that Marsul's coming back and that he likes Marsul. He's very nice and he realises his mum likes her a lot. And I've always thought to myself that GINO and the younger son quite liked Marsul, but GINO finds it difficult to say because his older brother, who's only a couple of years older than him, really dislikes Marsul, and I think he doesn't want to go against him or break ranks with him in front of him. But whenever he gets away, he's kind of like, yeah, Marsul's okay. And if we remember back when Marsul went, he was quite upset, saying Marsul and I have now got a relationship, and suddenly he disappears. And I did get the feeling he was quite upset with it all. But back in the restaurant, Joey asks, but why do you want to get married? And he thinks it's all a mistake because it's such a rush. And he asks his mum, did you talk about us at all? And she said, well, they know about you, that's for sure. I know it's not quite the same thing. His parents and his family know about you, but do they accept the situation? And she says to all 3 boys, we're going to get married really quickly. Will you come? Will you do me the favour of coming to the wedding? I really would like you there. And the youngest son says yes, he'll come, as long as it's not boring. Little kid, weddings are never boring. I find as long as there's alcohol and music, I'm absolutely fine. And in fact, I don't even need other people. And then GINO says, yes, he'll come. But Joey says, I might be busy. In fact, I don't want to go. Anna says, please come for me. And he says, no, I just don't think it's a good idea. And Anna tells us later that she's very upset that Joey doesn't want to come. And she said, I've supported them for everything they've ever done. And all I want is for them to support me through this one thing. And they won't do it. It's not really one thing though, is it, Anna? If he goes to the wedding, it says, I put my seal of approval on this relationship. And really, he doesn't. If the one thing that you want from somebody lasts a whole lifetime, it's quite a big deal. So what do I make of this scenario? As I thought, the younger boys are now on board, and I think the reason that they're now on board is because they saw just how upset Anna was and just how upset everybody was when Marsul went, and I think they felt some sort of loss. Even though Marsul coming was a massive upheaval to their lives, Marsul wasn't massively dominant towards them, and I think at heart the younger boys just want to see their mum happy, and because they saw how unhappy she was when he went, they realised that Marsul coming back is possibly the best thing for their family. I also think that Marsul coming back shows that he wants this relationship for real and that he is in love with Anna. When he came before, he'd never been to America, he didn't know if he'd like it, but now he's coming back, he knows what he's walking into, he knows the boys, he knows the dynamic, he knows the situation, and he's coming back in the full knowledge that yes, this is the life I want, this is what I want. But as per usual, I do always think that Anna needs to put the boys through less. She lets them know every bit of the situation and she doesn't ever manage what's happening, so she should have taken Joey to one side and said to him, I've already spoken to your brothers, they're on board and they're coming to the wedding. As my eldest son, I would really like for you to come to the wedding. I would really like your acceptance. You don't have to do this for Mursel. I'm asking you to do it for me. Joey feels like he has to keep up this mean boy pretense because his younger brothers are there, and he's obviously mouthed off so much about not liking Mursel. It's difficult for him to change his mind now. If Anna had have managed how she told the boys, she might have got the outcome that she wanted. But it's typical Anna. It seems as if she's only got one brain cell more than Mursel, and that doesn't say much. But anyway, I guess there'll be a wedding next week. I guess it's all on. So guys, let me know what you think in comments down below. Do you think that Anna should have managed the situation better with her boys? And what do you think to Joey? Do you think he should just come anyway now because it's happening? And do you think he should have any choice? He's only 16 after all. Do you think Anna should insist that he comes? Let me know in comments down below. And next up, we're going to talk about Blake and Jasmine. So Blake and Jasmine meet up at Blake's brother's house, and it seems as if Blake's living in the garage. What's this I see? And we can see he's got a studio all set up. And in fact, this studio looks worth more than the one at Soprata Records. Well, at least as much. And Jasmine sits down and Blake says, everybody was asking for you at Everett's party. And what's the betting that Rita asked him every hour on the hour? And Jasmine seemed completely unbothered. And Jasmine asked Blake if he continued drinking. Jasmine, you know that he did. He said that he drinks on birthdays and celebrations. It was a birthday celebration. Before you went, he said he would be drinking. And when you arrived for your meal, he was drinking. Wine coolers, if I remember. And then he stated he was going to continue drinking at Everett's party afterwards. So what would make you think now that suddenly he may not have been drinking? Of course he was drinking. And the truth be told, Jasmine, after your antics the other night, he would have needed a drink. And Blake asked her what she was talking to her sister about. And I bet my bottom dollar Blake's ears were burning all night. And Jasmine tells him that she spoke to her sister about why she was so annoyed. And she told her that Blake should spend more time with her and that he should prioritise her instead of his friends because they're getting married next month. Jasmine, one, you're right. You're getting married next month. You'll have a lifetime together. Or is a lifetime in your eyes 2 years? And then secondly, Jasmine, you failed to say that ostensibly your sister tacitly agreed with Blake. And she said that you should be more flexible and that she didn't like going out to bars as well. But sometimes you have to go with the flow and consider your partner more. That she didn't manage to mention. And Blake told her, if your sister was turning 30, you'd go, right? And Jasmine said it's not that big a deal. And in fact, every time I meet your friends, they're drinking. And Blake said the fact that she didn't go on Everett's 30th birthday shows her intention not to try and make friends with them, and that she's making absolutely no effort. And at this point, Jasmine, you'd do well to tell the truth. Whatever the reason is that you didn't want to go, just get it out there. It wasn't because Blake was drinking now, was it? And Blake asked, is it just that you want to hang with your sister? And she said, yes, I wish I could. Well, of course she wishes she could, Blake. She's moved across continents to be with her sister. Don't get it twisted and think it's you. It ain't. It's her sister. And even though Blake explained why she should have gone, Jasmine didn't really seem to take it in. But then all of a sudden, when they were in front of producers, she said, I'm really sorry for not going. And Blake seemed relieved that she'd apologised and said, oh, thank God, well, we just need to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future. So Blake, Jasmine, both of you need to begin talking. If you're going to have a successful marriage, you need to communicate. None of us still know exactly what the problem is. Is it because Jasmine genuinely doesn't like drinking? Is it because she doesn't like Blake's friends? Is it because she realises that Rita is a rat who belongs to the streets? Or is it because she's an introvert or somebody that doesn't like going out at all? Does she feel awkward in large crowds? And last week, lots of my subscribers actually said, Jasmine certainly isn't an introvert because she posts pictures of herself on Instagram and she's on yachts and in Dubai. But I would just like to point out, it's still entirely possible that she's an introvert because she doesn't like to give a lot away about herself. But also when she's on yachts and when she's in Dubai, I've never seen any pictures of her mad partying. There's always just her and her sister sitting in a bar or at a beach or laying on a yacht topping up their tan. There seems to be a lifestyle, but it's not a mad party lifestyle. And let's not forget, whether she's an introvert or not, she still might go to these places because pretty much these girls get paid to go on these trips. They either get paid actually or they get given free bags and designer goods and at the very least a free holiday. And also if they're promoting products and services, your Instagram needs to be lit. You need to have holidays and parties and nice restaurants. So it's a form of work. You got to go to work. You got to earn your money. So to me, it's not really evidence of her not being an introvert. However, there could be loads of reasons that she didn't want to go, and she blamed it all on Blake's drinking. So I ran my own company for about 15 years. And as you know, you have to show an example to your staff. So you can't just necessarily decide every time one of my friends has an event or a party or whatever, I'm going to leave early. So consequently, I was always late to events and always late to drinks and parties. And half the time when I arrived, everybody there was 3 sheets to the wind. And I have to admit, if you're a non-drinker or you're not yet drunk, it's quite an irritating scenario listening to stories being told in great detail at great volume by your drunken friends. I used to do 3 tequila slammers in a row to try and catch up because that's how bad it was. So I can understand if she's not a drinker, she may hate going to places where she knows everybody's going to be lit. Maybe that was the case. If it is, you need to explain it properly to Blake, and this is a problem that will no doubt rear its ugly head in the future. So next time we meet with Jasmine and Blake, Jasmine's parents are in town, and Blake tells us he's met them before and gets on very well with them, and he hopes they get along with his mum. His stepdad doesn't seem to have turned up. Maybe he was worried they were all going to start drinking, and they all meet up in a restaurant, and Jasmine's parents, Mira and Marku, give warm hugs to Blake's mum. Interesting. Warmth and hugging. Jasmine, take note. And Jasmine's mum says that LA is a big and dangerous city, but she's excited for her daughter and for her future. And then Mama Blake asks, how was your journey over? And Jasmine's dad says, long. And it would seem that Jasmine's penchant for being monosyllabic comes directly from her parents. And then her dad asks, how's the wedding planning going? And Blake says it's good. And then Blake explains that they're going to have a very small wedding on a park that he used to go to in his childhood. And Jasmine says she likes small weddings. Hopefully Jasmine will bejazzle her flip-flops. But then Mama Blake, well, she decides to get sneaky, real sneaky. And she asks, Jasmine, what are you planning to do for work when you get married? One, Mama Blake, do you work? I don't know that you do. And secondly, Mama Blake, you've already asked Jasmine what she's going to do, and she's already told you. She's got a little side hustle on Instagram, and she's explained that she doesn't want to work. But Jasmine, ever the grafter, explains once again to Mama Blake what she's going to be doing. And she tells her, I don't really want to work, for the working life is not for me, and I just want to sit and focus on my inner peace so that I have a good mind. And the camera pans to Blake, and he looks as if he's okay with that. And her parents seem very happy with that, but nothing's going to deter Mama Blake. And she tells us, I was not raised that way, and it takes 2 salaries in LA because it's so expensive to live. Unless, of course, you're going to marry a millionaire, which my son Blake is not. No, you're right, Mama Blake, he's not. He lives in a garage, and he works for his mate, if you can call it work. And Mama Blake tells us she's just not happy with that. And then Jasmine's parents tell us Jasmine has spoke very sternly in the past about never ever wanting to work. And Mama Blake says one income will not suffice. Something might happen to Blake, for none of us is promised tomorrow. And Jasmine says again, I'm not work oriented. I will only work if I have to. And so by this time, guys, I was watching Blake's body language, and wow, he's grooming his beard, he's stroking, he's pulling, and in body language terms, that's self-soothing. And this tells us that even though he's not saying anything, he's secretly very worried, either about something that's impending or something that's being said now. And even though his mum had just asked him, he says nothing. Now, if he was really not bothered, he'd say, no, Mum, that's fine. We're good. We've spoken about this. Jasmine's not going to work. But I think deep down, he knows it's a problem too. And Mama Blake says this is something that both of you have to discuss. And I have a feeling, Mama Blake, it's already been discussed. Here's my theory. I think that when Blake was wooing Jasmine and she said, I don't want to work, he said, no, baby, that's fine. I'll look after both of us. Don't worry, don't worry. And he said and did all the right things to get Jasmine over here. And now she's here, he's going to wait until they get married. And then, and only then, is she going to wake up and smell the coffee and realise that Blake is a skin task. Blake doesn't have any money, and Blake certainly doesn't have enough money to even have a home of his own, much less to house and feed both of them. Jasmine doesn't look cheap, and one might say that Blake's behaviour is quite Robertesquian. And Jasmine tells production, I think it's really rude to ask what I'm doing. If I work, it's my business. I believe I should be able to do what I want in life. My first priority is not working. Blake's the breadwinner, and he has enough money to support both of us. Then production speak to Blake, separately, you understand. And Blake tells us that he's going to find it hard to provide for both of them, and he is very nervous about doing so. But he said, I'll have to do whatever side hustle I need to do to make the money that I need. And this, to me, is the biggest problem that Blake and Jasmine are going to have in their relationship. And Rita and Everett can see it coming. They know Blake doesn't have any money because Rita and Everett are probably in exactly the same position. It would not surprise me if Rita is the breadwinner in that house. And what they're very worried about is if that Jasmine's sitting around doing nothing and then in a couple of years wants to push out a child, Blake's going to have to give up this folly of being a hip-hop star and is going to have to go and get a job. Blake's been doing this with his friends since he left school, since he was 18. He's now virtually 30. And Everett wrote Rita, and in fact even Joey Soprata, you know, the CEO of Soprata Records, all realise that anyone that Blake is going out with needs to bring the money in. And let's think about this properly. Blake doesn't even have enough money to have an apartment so that when Jasmine came over, he and Jasmine could just live in that apartment together. And even now, 2 months into Jasmine staying, he still hasn't got enough money for somewhere for him and Jasmine to go. It's very, very unlikely that Blake has a lot of money, and I think this is a problem of Blake's making. And you know, we were talking yesterday about the quid pro quo, who gives and who takes and who gets what. I think Blake has said to Jasmine, I'll look after you, and what's Jasmine giving to Blake? Her good looks. Let's face fact, Blake is punching, and he knows it. And in fact, Mama Blake knows it. Remember the first time we met her? She said, "Ooh, I'm quite worried about this relationship, because looking at Jasmine's pictures, she looks like the kind of girl who wants her Louis and her Gucci, and Blake hasn't got that kind of money." And when Mama Blake asked him in front of everyone, "What do you think to this?" Blake self-soothed and stroked at his beard and said nothing. So guys, tell me what you think. Do you think this whole thing is going to blow up in Blake's face? Do you think as soon as they get married, Blake's going to require Jasmine to work, otherwise he's not going to have money for the rent? It's all very well Jasmine not working, but if she doesn't have money for clothes and meals out and to go to the gym, I can't see her being happy. I noticed her sister had a very nice apartment, and I think that kind of minimalist Nordic style is the kind of thing that Jasmine would want to go for. And Blake's going to need to save pennies after paying for this whole wedding to get that flat renovated. So what do you guys think? Do you think this is going to blow up in Blake's face? Or do you think Blake's going to have to give up the whole music industry thing and go and find a job? And do you think it's fair that Jasmine should just say, Blake's the breadwinner and that's it, he can cope? And I look forward to seeing what you guys have got to say. Please don't forget to put a big thumbs up if you like the video, and if you haven't done so as yet, please subscribe to my channel for regular uploads and constant content, and I thank you in advance for your support. Please don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Ebird99, and I'll see you very soon. You've been listening to Ebird Online. Ciao for now.